Sexual assault and harassment, protection and laws in the public sector. In 2017, the world was shocked by the power and force of the Me Too movement. The magnitude of the movement was so great that members of the movement garnered the honor of Time magazine's Person of the Year, labeling the participants as the Silence Breakers. As our mothers, sisters, children, cousins, teachers, friends, and strangers took to social media sharing their sexual assault stories, we learned all too well how personal the topic of sexual assault and harassment can really be. Many of the stories shared by these silence breakers were stories of assault and harassment that took place in their places of work. This presentation will present sexual assault and harassment laws as they relate to the public sectors of higher education and local government. The U.S. Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women defines sexual assault as any non-consensual sexual act prescribed by federal, tribal, or state law, including when the victim lacks the capacity to consent. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunities Commission defines sexual harassment as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature constitutes sexual harassment when this contact explicitly or implicitly affects an individual's employment, unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance, or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. A study from 2018 found that 81% of women and 43% of men will experience some sort of sexual violence in their lifetime, and 25 to 85% of women will experience sexual violence in the workplace.
Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibits sex discrimination in any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Title IX has always included sexual harassment and violence as a form of discrimination, but around 2011, campuses became much more focused on addressing these types of issues proactively. Large institutions generally have separate Title IX and Human Resource offices. Title IX offices handle student issues, while Human Resources coordinates with the Title IX office for issues involving faculty and staff. In 2019, Laura Champagne, a former math professor at Goodwin College in Connecticut, filed a lawsuit claiming she was fired for refusing to reveal the identity of a student who told her that she'd been sexually harassed by a male professor. The student, who wanted to remain anonymous and also wouldn't name the professor who allegedly harassed her, disclosed that the male professor offered to give her better grades if she became his, quote, mistress. The student also allegedly said the same professor had offered other students a similar arrangement. Unsure how to respond, Champagne contacted a campus administrator and asked for the name of the campus's Title IX coordinator. A few days later, the provost approached Champagne to ask her why she wanted to know about the Title IX coordinator. Champagne shared what she knew, but not the student's identity. At several subsequent meetings with the college's head of human resources, Champagne was allegedly pressured to reveal the student's name, but she repeatedly said the student did not want her identity revealed and that she couldn't violate that trust. Champagne did offer to ask the student whether she'd reconsider or share additional details, which Human Resources encouraged her to do. Still, the student adamantly refused to be identified. HR told Champagne to make a formal incident report, and she complied, leaving out the student's name. The next month at a meeting, a Human Resources employee allegedly verbally asked Champagne what the student would say, quote, if she knew you were going to lose your job, unquote. Champagne says she responded by saying that the college allows anonymous complaints and that it could attempt to remedy Title IX violations by offering more training on sexual harassment. Days later, according to the lawsuit, Goodwin College terminated Champagne's employment. Her federal lawsuit against the college alleges retaliation in violation of Title IX and wrongful termination. This example demonstrates the complexity of Title IX issues and the importance of Human Resources' role in proper responses and training. So, what is Human Resources' role in Title IX issues? Research from the University of Pittsburgh suggests the following. Human Resources should 1. Make sure responsible employees know that they are deemed as such and understand their responsibilities. Many employees simply don't know that they are responsible for reporting sexual misconduct. So institutions need to be deliberate in their training and communication, especially with faculty, because they have the most interaction with students, and students are the primary victims of sexual assault and misconduct on campuses. 2. Focus on the what to do, not just on the what it is. Understanding what Title IX is important, but more important is employees understanding what to do when they encounter a Title IX issue. Suggestions include providing employees with resources like talking points, a reporting process flowchart, or other information they can quickly access when they become aware of an alleged action that warrants reporting. 3. Practice ongoing communication and make it easy for individuals to find information. All employees who are responsible for reporting alleged sexual misconduct or harassment should receive regular communications outlining updates and changes to Title IX policies and procedures. In short, institutions need to be proactive in evaluating their Title IX training and communication plans to ensure that all employees are well versed in their responsibilities. A comprehensive Title IX training and communication program will help ensure that an institution's responsible employees are, in fact, being responsible.
Let's explore how sexual harassment is successfully handled in local government. First and foremost, organizations need a good policy. The policy needs to address all forms of harassment. All new hires must be trained on it. Managers should formally and informally speak to it when things come up. Formal training should be done at the time of hire and then at least annually. Informal training is used as a form of coaching. A good policy will prohibit the giving or withholding of tangible job benefits based on the granting of sexual favors. Prohibit any behavior or conduct of a sexual, gender-based nature that results in a hostile, abusive, or unwelcome work environment. Prohibit retaliation against any employee who opposes a forbidden practice, has filed a charge, testified, assisted, or participated in any manner in an investigative proceeding or hearing under this policy. Prohibit false or bad faith claims regarding sexual or gender harassment. Allow employees accused of sexual harassment to receive notice of charges, the evidence to be used against them, and an opportunity to respond. Keep all records and proceedings of sexual harassment claims, investigations, or resolutions confidential. Require that all employees, managers, and management personnel shall receive training on the sexual gender harassment policy during orientation and in-service training. It's important to create a culture that is intolerant of discrimination and harassment. Part of this culture is taking every complaint seriously. It's a sign that your culture is successful when individuals call out issues. This doesn't just include managers, but every employee. Everyone in the organization should recognize and make note of infractions. As employees do this on a consistent basis, issues keep from being swept under the rug. Have an open door policy. Employees shouldn't feel restricted to reporting harassment to a direct supervisor. They should be able to walk into any manager's office and report it. The Human Resource Department is a place where employees should feel safe to report any discriminatory behavior without management involvement. The key is the level of comfort. If the policy is familiar throughout the organization, employees should feel confident that their concerns will be heard and acted upon. Finally, regular updates are a must. Some specificity is good to have in a policy. When a new issue crops up in society, consider whether it's something that should be added. It's okay to address issues that may not have been issues when the original policy was adopted.
Although higher education and local government are not exactly the same, there are many best practices in regards to sexual assault and harassment that can be applied to both. 1. Have a formal and comprehensive sexual assault training given to all employees when first hired and as needed. Keep this training updated with changes and new policies. 2. Ensure that employees know that they can go to any manager to report sexual misconduct when they observe it happening in the workplace. And 3. Update policies when needed and stay in constant communication with employees on guidelines, policies, and procedures. Utilizing these best practices will help create a culture of safety and respect in the workplace.